Good morning, students. Our today's topic is exchange of gases. Alveoli are the primary site for exchange of gases. Exchange of gases also occur between blood and tissue. When the blood takes oxygen from the alveoli and near the tissue region, again the exchange of gases occur. Blood transfer oxygen to the tissue and from the tissue it takes carbon dioxide. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged in these sites by simple diffusion, mainly based on pressure or concentration gradient. What is the main reason for exchange? By simple diffusion from higher concentration or higher pressure region towards the lower pressure or concentration region. So the diffusion occurs from higher concentration towards a lower concentration region. Solubility of the gases as well as the thickness of the membranes involved in diffusion are also some important factors that can affect the rate of diffusion. So the rate of diffusion depends upon concentration gradient, solubility of gases, and thickness of the membranes. These are the three main factors for the diffusion. Pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure and is represented as PO2 for oxygen and PCO2 for carbon dioxide. Learn the definition of partial pressure. It is the pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture of gases. When many gases are present, but the partial pressure of an individual gas is considered as the partial pressure. So we represent PO2 for the partial pressure of oxygen and PCO2 for the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Partial pressure of these two gases in the atmospheric air and the two sites of diffusion are given in table 17.1 and in figure 17.3. The data given in the table clearly indicates a concentration gradient for oxygen from alveoli to blood and from blood to tissue. Now just see in this table for oxygen. First we are considering oxygen. In the atmospheric air, its value is 159 mm of mercury. And in the alveoli, it is 104. So movement occurs from the air towards the alveoli, from the higher concentration towards the or higher partial pressure towards the lower partial pressure. Again, from the alveoli are surrounded by the blood vessels, that is deoxygenated blood. So here the pressure is 40. Again, from the alveoli, the oxygen moves into the blood which is deoxygenated. Surrounding the alveoli, the blood is deoxygenated. So it goes from alveoli to that blood, and then that blood is carried to the tissue region by the oxygenated blood. After getting oxygen from the alveoli, the blood becomes oxygenated. Now its partial pressure becomes 95, and in the tissue region it is 40. Again, from the oxygenated blood, the oxygen moves towards the tissue region. Similarly, in case of carbon dioxide, in the air its value is 0.3, but in the alveoli it's 40. So from higher, that is in alveoli, it goes out towards the atmospheric air. Similarly, in the tissue region it is 45, but in the oxygenated blood it is 40. So from 45 towards 40, from tissue region towards the blood, it moves. Similarly, a gradient is present for carbon dioxide in the opposite direction, that is from tissue to blood and blood to alveoli. The carbon dioxide moves from tissue towards the blood and from blood to alveoli. As the solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen, the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference is partial pressure is much higher compared to that of oxygen. The solubility of carbon dioxide is higher, so partial pressure as shown in figure 17.4, the alveoli, the wall of the alveoli is made up of squamous epithelium, that is one cell thick. The alveolar wall is made up of squamous epithelium and is one celled thick. Then comes the basement membrane between the alveolar wall and the blood capillary, that is basement membrane in between. The blood capillary is made up of endothelium. So, 3 layers: squamous epithelium of alveoli, basement membrane, and endothelium of blood capillary. These are the 3 layers through which the diffusion occurs. In between them, however, its total thickness is much less than a millimeter. These are very thin walled, so their thickness is very less. Therefore, all the factors in our body are favorable for diffusion of oxygen from alveoli to tissue and that of carbon dioxide from tissue to alveoli, because the alveolar wall is very thin and richly supplied with blood also. So all these factors are favorable for the exchange of gases from oxygen from alveoli to the tissue region, and from the tissue region where this oxygen is used and carbon dioxide is taken back into the blood. Next is transport of gases. Blood is a medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide. About 97% of oxygen is transported by RBC in the blood. So, blood, oxygen and carbon dioxide can transport through the blood. 97% of the oxygen is transported by the red blood cells. The remaining 3% of oxygen is carried in a dissolved state through the plasma. So, out of the 100%, 97% is carried by RBC and only 3% is carried by the plasma in dissolved form. Nearly 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by RBC, whereas 70% of it is carried by bicarbonate, and about 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state through plasma. So, carbon dioxide is transported into the body by RBCs as bicarbonate ions or in the dissolved state through plasma. Out of that, 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by RBC, 70% is carried as bicarbonate, and about 7% is carried in a dissolved state through plasma. This is the percentage how oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported in our body. The detail of that we will study next time under the transport of oxygen and transport of carbon dioxide. I hope this is clear. Thank you.